I am here with a very special guest. We have Mimi Smith here. Hello, Mimi. Um,
How's it going?
it's going all right. I just wasn't sure I could hear you. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
so it is Olympic Trials Week. We're headed to Orlando. I'm
We
not.
are.
You are. Lots of the best distance runners in the United States will be there. We're so thrilled and grateful to have you representing the Heartbreakers as part of our elite team, the Flyers. How you feeling right now?
Feeling good. Definitely, it's one of those things where I feel like since I qualified in Chicago, it's gone by really, really fast. But at the same time, I'm like ready to just do it. um, so I feel good. I mean, this training cycle was really good. I feel like I'm in better fitness even than going into Chicago. Just my paces I've been able to hit in workouts have been good. So I think as long as I can just keep cool, stick to my race plan, we should have a good day on Florida
Yeah,
on Saturday.
yeah, I'm excited. And that Chicago race was incredible. You ran 2:34, placed 20th overall among the women,
hmm
and really a great breakout. How much of a PR was that? And can you just walk us through that day, how it felt to run that fast in a major
Yeah.
marathon? It's something special to run fast, but I think it's even more meaningful when you can do it in one of like the biggest races in the world. Can you talk
Yeah,
about that weekend?
and my home city, which was really, really awesome. So yeah, I had previously Chicago was my third marathon. I did a marathon back in 2021 that helped me qualify for Boston of 2023.
Hmm.
So in Boston, I ran 2:38 and I realized, oh, I'm actually pretty close to the Olympic standard.
Hmm.
I ran 2:38:33. So that Boston is an interesting race because depending on where you start, I thought it would go out really fast and we went out super slow,
Mm.
like, over a minute and 15 seconds slower than my pace I wanted it to be. And so I realized like after that, if you would have just had a quicker first mile, you're right there,
Yeah.
contending to get the OTQ. So going into Chicago, that was like 100% my goal. I think based off my pacing and everything, I figured that I would be able to get around 35. So getting well under it, near closer to 34 was really awesome. And yeah, like you said, to be able to do it in a major where there's really good competition is awesome because you're never alone. It's really hard to win a marathon alone, which will be really interesting to see in a very small field in Orlando this weekend how that shakes out. But you have people that are going to be around your pace level, so
Right.
I think it won't be that bad. But yeah, Chicago is my home. I grew up in the North Shore in Wilmette, Illinois, and so what was so awesome about Chicago and I think that made it so much more special with the crowds is pretty much every mile, either someone was saying "Go Heartbreak" with my jersey on, or someone was saying like "Go Mimi" because they actually knew me from people that didn't even know I was in the race. Like there were some people from high school who were like, "Is that me? Hey!" And I was like, so that was really, really exciting. That was a really, really cool experience, and like all my family and really close family and friends were there. So never quite experienced anything that awesome. That was a really great day.
Yeah, and you lined up a 2:38 in Boston on its notoriously hard course that opened the door for you to understand the capacity, then knock it out
Yes.
in
Mm-hmm.
Chicago. You ran as a collegiate athlete at Wake Forest, 5K,
Mm-hmm.
10K, mile up, basically, like many distance
Yep.
runners as needed, right, for the
Yep.
team. And how was that transition from collegiate track running to marathoning? Was it, you said you've run three. I know the first
Mm-hmm.
two were pretty darn lights out. How it
Yeah.
seems like the adaptation has been pretty good, but can you talk about that transition?
Yeah, definitely. Always just love to run. Like no matter what, I'm a person. I just need to exercise, and for me, exercising is running. So it wasn't a hard transition when I graduated to continue running.
Hmm.
What I did do was I went straight into graduate school. I got my doctorate in physical therapy, so that was a 3 year program. And for the first 2 years, I like did a couple of half marathons. I did some 5Ks, 10Ks, but I was like strictly on my own. I wouldn't say the training was anything other than keeping me in like fairly good shape, but it wasn't really anything specific. And then when I was on my clinical rotations, you're traveling around the country, you're alone a lot. I was like, well, I've got time. It's something for me to really focus on and do and keep me active outside of, working and doing my clinical experiences. So that's when I decided to sign up for my first marathon. So even though it has been easy for me to stay in shape and do running, I would say I took a solid 2 to 3 years of running on just specifically my own time and not putting a lot of pressure on it.
Yeah.
And I ran a pretty good fast first marathon, but I mean, it was all my own, and I took like workouts from my 10K and 5K training in college. I mean, it wasn't grand or it wasn't pretty at all, but I did it. And then when I moved down to Dallas for my first job out of PT school, I found a team pretty much right away. Again, I knew, I've been traveling around for a whole year on my own to different places. When I got down here, I was like, I need to make a community and find some friends right away. And I knew the easiest way to do that was just find a run group. And I happened to just find some amazing run groups in Dallas who were, to be honest, more passionate about running than I was. I was shocked. They literally, the first week I was down here, I kind of told them, I ran one marathon before, and they're like, oh, you got to sign up for Boston. The sign up is in 2 days, and you have 4 days to sign up. I was like, broke right out of PT school. I'm like, well, I guess I'm just going to go up for this because I want to fit in. So that kind of really started my true intense training. And those are the people I've been training with. They push me so much in my workouts here. And what I think has been so great about it is we're all working professionals, which really helps because we're all willing to wake up at like 5 a.m. every morning, bang it out. Like we meet really, really early in the morning. We always do our long runs at 6 a.m. on Saturdays, but it helps because I can then be able to do what I got to do for work and then get really good training in with really fast people, which helps.
Yeah, for sure. It's all about who you're working with, right?
Yeah.
How is I've been seeing the content trickle out on your journey. Do you want to talk a little bit about that project and with whom you're working?
Yeah. So Nomad is a film group here in Dallas. One of them was a runner as well and is really a part of our running community. So they're trying to put out more content and create some video content for their portfolio. So we partnered together to do a little video, a little like a documentary, I guess, about my career and in general my journey towards training for the Olympic trials. So we did a pre-interview, did some footage running, and then we're going to have a camera down at the trials and then do a little bit afterwards to kind of talk about the journey. So that'll be really cool to kind of put out there.
Yeah, cool. So let's talk about the big weekend. It's coming up fast. You're coming in on Thursday, races Saturday, line up against, a lot of the majors. Obviously they have great competition, but now it's like, but people spread out. They pick their majors, right? This is like all of the best women marathoners all at once in one place. So it makes it really, really, I think, really special and exciting. What's going to be your approach to the race?
I think for me, I know I'm going to say I'm going to go out in my goal time. I know it's going to be faster. Like you always expect 5-10 seconds faster. But the way that I ran it in Chicago was definitely relative to Boston. I was slow and then picked it up. In Chicago, I was faster, gave myself enough buffer, but the last 8 miles were extremely challenging. So I'm expecting that again, that they're going to be challenging, but I do think I need to be more, even my conservative will be 5 to 10 seconds faster. So to be honest, I feel like my mentality going into it, if you're in the back half of the pack for the first 10, 15 miles, that doesn't really scare me in my mindset of going into it, because I know that consistency, and if you give yourself the paces that you're supposed to be hitting early on and you can maintain that, I do think a lot of people will fall back. I have had the experience of training in Texas heat all through Chicago, and I really do know what hot and humid feels like. And so I'm hopefully I know it's been cold here for this training cycle, but it's still like been generally warm, and I'm hoping to use that kind of that body awareness and awareness of the heat and the temperature to let myself kind of do as even as I can in the beginning, and then just try to hold on at the very end. So I think pace-wise, 5:50 is an extremely realistic goal for me. So if we go out in 45, 40 for maybe the first couple here and there, I'm not going to freak out. I'm just going to let it ride, settle into my pace. And then in Chicago, the between mile 21 and 23. I dropped a couple of over 6 minutes. So a personal goal for me is just to try to see if I can keep it within that mile range just as low as I can, and try to maintain closest to that 5:50 pace possible. So you know what, just go out and have a pretty even race. And we'll see, you go into these things saying that, and then things happen. So, but that's kind of the game plan going in.
Yeah, and you mentioned you had a couple tough miles. You got out a little hotter than you wanted, maybe. It's you still hit your goal and you still ran really darn fast. How do
Yeah.
you what do you think about as you're wading through that hardest challenging part? You maybe you went out hot, but you're there, and
Yeah.
some people just let it go there, but you stayed the
Hmm.
course. A little slower is hard to maintain,
Yeah.
and you still knocked out your goal. So how do you manage that when you're going through those moments?
That's a really good question. I think sometimes, well, actually, there's been a lot of studies that have shown that even just thinking positive thoughts has positive effects on your performance. So that goes before the race, that goes in the middle of the race, and that goes when it gets hard in the race. And so even when you are feeling bad, I think even if you're kind of kidding yourself, just focusing on positive things and reinforcing, like, okay, this is really hard, but you know, what is going well right now? Um, Saying, you've done this in the past and you've gotten through it. It is only X amount more miles. Those kind of thoughts, they really do make a difference. So when I was in college, my sophomore year, I actually had a herniated disc. And I would get to mile 2 of all my cross country races, and this catching sensation would happen in my hamstring because it was at my L5S1 disc. So I just had a lot of really intense nerve pain that would go down my leg. And it would always happen at mile 2. And my first couple races, it happens, I would psych myself out so much. Like, it's a weird sensation. You feel like you're going to fall. It's really intense burning.
Yeah.
And the more I kind of got in my head, the more intense the symptoms would get. So I learned, that injury kind of waxed and waned for about a year. And I feel like I got really good at calming myself down mid-race when things would pop up, because I would have to, or else the alternative would be just like going absolutely downhill. And so all runners have whether it's a herniated disc, another injury, like glucose thing where you get really low on your glucose,
Right.
whatever it is for that runner. I think we find ways to mentally decompress, or what helps you. And sometimes I either need to make my brain silent or say positive things, because it's the only way that you can get through it. And knowing everyone else feels this way, the body wasn't meant to run over 20 miles at that pace. This is going to happen. So pop up another gel, say some positive things, and just keep going. It'll be done in 30 minutes, hopefully.
I love it. The power of
Yeah.
positivity with Mamie Smith.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really grateful that you're a part of our community, representing our community, and racing for Heartbreak down there. We're so
Yeah.
excited to cheer for you, and love having you there in Texas.
Yeah.
Sending all my good wishes and positivity your
Thank you.
way, and can't wait to see how it goes for you, Mamie.
Thank you. And I just want to say thank you all so much. When I was home one summer, I went to one of the Tracksmiths 5K invite, and I saw everyone running around with these hearts with a line in them. And I thought, oh, that's a cool company. It's really awesome. And then I remember one day walking down Halstead and seeing your store, like this was like 3 days after that track event, and be like, oh my gosh, it's Heartbreak. And ever since then, I just have loved you guys' content. So when I was able to run a fast half marathon and reach out to you guys, and you allowed me to be part of the Flyers, I just have really liked what y'all are doing, and hope to represent y'all well.
It's mutual, Mimi. So thank you so much, and good luck down there. We'll be cheering so hard. Good luck.
All right, thanks. Bye, Dan.
Bye.